Yes, now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thomas Rants YouTube channel. It is July 29th, and I am finally watching the July 22nd edition of NXT. And we had the show open up. It was in Austin, Texas. I don't know if it's in Austin, but it's in Texas. It's in an arena in Texas. I don't know why. I don't know what the occasion is, but regardless, we're in Texas. Booker T opens it up on the mic, introducing what we have during the show. And the first thing we have is an 8-person mixed tag team match. Saruka, I think, teaming up with Hank and Tank, are going to face the Culling. I'm ready. And if the Culling don't win, I'm actually going to be mad. I know Hank and Tank are tag team champions, and Saruka is NXT Women's North American champion. But let's build the Culling up. I think the Culling are the next tag team champions, and they're trying to build Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. And they're also trying to build the feud between Zarya and Saruka. So I think let's have the Culling win this. So the first match was actually quite a long one, and it was pretty, back and forth. Then Darkseid interrupted the match. They didn't fight no one, they just appeared, obviously, lights flickering, music playing. And then we'll stand there. And that's when Tatum Paxley actually pinned Zarya. So Tatum Paxley, the ultimate underdog, got the win over Zarya. So yeah, I told you they were building the Culling up, and I'm glad the Culling have won. And also, Darkseid being reinstated now into the tag team division, which is good where they should be. Because maybe Culling will win these titles, maybe Darkseid are winning them regardless. Darkseid are going to get them eventually, and they're going to be dominant tag team champions. So JC Jane came out to brag about her win at Slammiversary, and the fact that she's now NXT Women's Champion and TNA Knockouts Champion, only to be interrupted by Lash Legend, who came out talking her shit, claiming her spot, demonstrating, revising what she did in that Women's Battle Royal. The fact she lasted up to the final 2, I think, or maybe even 3, and she eliminated Nikki Bella, I believe. And that's when Jada Parker came out, and she said, "We'll give Lash Legend her flowers, but I, Jada Parker, have a direct line to that title, and I will be the future of the NXT Women's Division." And obviously, this is Lash Legend and Jada Parker both trying to claim their shot at the NXT Women's title. That's when JC Jane said, "Look, I'm going to let you two hash this out." And then she tried to get Fatal Influence to attack them, only Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix did not want none of that smoke. So JC tried to get the drop on Jada and Lash, and Fatal Influence got beat up, and it ended in a face-off between Jada Parker and Lash Legend, which, by the way, is a banger match in itself. Honestly, I feel like both these women are more suitable champions than JC Jane, so let's put a title on one of them, do you know what I mean? Let's have an epic, let's have a feud, maybe one of them wins a shot first, then we get a triple threat match, or the other way around, I feel like Lash Legend needs to end up with this title. I'm just feeling it, just putting it out there. Couple backstage segments to break down. I mean, Ricky Sainz walked in on Javon Evans. Javon Evans was writing down notes, to just kind of motivate himself. I don't know, asking Ricky Sainz for advice, but really Ricky Sainz wanted advice from Javon Evans about how to beat Jasper Troy, because Javon Evans did it at Great American Bash, and Ricky Sainz got to do it tonight. And then we had a moment backstage where obviously Ren Sinclair, I'll get it right this time, not Gwen, Ren Sinclair was backstage with NQCC. And obviously she's got a match, and I think against Blake Monroe. And then Miles Bourne walks in and he says, "Look, I may not be part of the NQCC, but I'm still here to back my friend." And then they're focused on Lexus King with these headphones on, again, kicking something in the background. They're like, what the hell is he doing? He's gone a bit insane. Last week he sat in the crowd with these headphones on, doing nothing. Now he's in the back, just kicking things. A bit weird, but maybe they're cooking. Maybe they're cooking, who knows? Okay, so that match between Ricky Sainz and Jasper Troy just turned into a brawl on the ramp, really. And I'm not even sure at what point, but the stage collapsed under Ricky Sainz, and Ricky Sainz is just lying, on a collapsed stage. And then Jasper Troy hits a senton off the stage, beautiful, and stumbles his way to the ring to beat Ricky by count-out. I'm not mad at it. We need to have more wins like that, do you know what I mean? It's not the honourable way to win, but it's a perfect way for a heel to win. And it's definitely a way to win. Let's utilise the count-out. Let's utilise the rules of wrestling a bit more. You know what I mean? So obviously we just had Trick Williams backstage, hyping himself up with High Rise, about going out there and calling out The Undertaker. Javon Evans was also in the back, and he said, "Oh, I can't wait to see this." And Trick was like, shut up. And he went out there and Javon followed him out. He said, I want to watch this. High Rise was like, bro, he just told you to back off. I don't know if High Rise and Trick actually have a bit of a partnership now, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it, right? Anyway, Trick Williams goes out there, talks his shit about how he's the greatest TNA champion of all time, which obviously he's not. But, you know, he beat Joe Hendry, he beat this and that. So he's the greatest, whatever. Then he calls out The Undertaker. And The Undertaker comes out and The Undertaker tries to give him some advice about, you know, who he is. You know, he compliments him on what he has and then he tells him about what he doesn't have. That's when Trick gets a bit disrespectful as soon as Undertaker brings up his LFG team. And then Undertaker said he's a little light in the arse to be speaking to an OG like that. And then he told him you'll make him famous, you know, because he came out as the American Badass, which I don't... It obviously makes more sense than coming out as the Dead Man and given that he's retired and whatever. And then he hits him with the chokeslam, whatever. I just wonder where this is leading, right? And obviously it's not Undertaker in a match. I hope it's not Undertaker in a match. No disrespect, but obviously we don't want to see the people who say they're retired come out of retirement, because Undertaker had his last match, his last appearance for a reason, yeah? But I'm guessing maybe it's to bring some LFG stars up into NXT and give him a feud with Trick. God knows where it's leading, but I'm intrigued because The Undertaker's involved, and it is quite intriguing, let's be honest. Interesting, so obviously Michelle McCool's in the building because Undertaker's there, and she came up to Fatal Influence and just said, it sounds like to me Jasmine Nix should take on Jada Parker, and Fallon Henley should take on Lash Legend. And then they all said we agree. You know, it's weird how they actually got along with Michelle McCool. And Fallon was like, oh, Jasmine, why do you want to take on Jada Parker? And she goes, well, only a baddie can handle a baddie. That's when JC Jane said, well, Fallon, it's fine, you're way better than Jasmine Nix, so you've got a better chance of beating Lash. Since when was Lash Legend considered better than Jada Parker? I know she's bigger, but Jada Parker, like, has won some big matches. But also, again, throwing digs at each other, right? And obviously you'd think it would lead to a breakup, but I'm starting to think this is just the gimmick. Fatal Influence. It's like a toxic, not to quote toxic attraction, but it's like a toxic friendship. You know, they're all friends, but they're bitchy to each other. So yeah, those are probably the matches we're going to get, and not mad at it. Obviously Jada and Lash are going to win though. So Blake Monroe disposes of Reagan Sinclair fairly easily, not a long match. But Jordan Grace burst away into the arena after being banned from the arena to fight Blake Monroe. Security gets involved. Blake Monroe takes advantage, destroys Jordan Grace with a chair. I just want this feud to play out. I've seen it coming. Let it happen. Because Jordan Grace or Blake Monroe need to be NXT Women's Champion. One of them needs to be it. So let this feud hurry up. Okay, just holy shit is all I've got to say. Ethan Page as a North American champion comes out to insult North America, comes out to insult USA, yeah, and then proceeds to go on about how he's from Canada, and then reveals the Canadian flags, and then reveals something else. As he chucks away the North American title, he reveals his new design for the North American Championship, which includes a Canadian flag strap. So the North American Championship is basically the Canadian Championship, and he proceeds to sing the Canadian national anthem, obviously pissing off all the Americans, and of course doing it in Texas, probably one of the most proudest American states. That's when Santino Marella comes out, and obviously we're going to pop because it's Santino Marella, one of the greatest of all time. I love Santino Marella, right? If you don't think Santino Marella is one of the greatest of all time, you're wrong, right? Comes out, calls him Ethan Page, and calls Ava Ava. He's just a legend, and basically said he's with Canada, you know, and he lives there, and he wants Ethan Page next week, which is great because I'd love to see Santino in action. And Ethan Page is like, let's do it right now, until Santino got the Cobra out and he ran away. So we might get Santino Marella versus Ethan Page next week. The only sad part about that is I know what WWE are going to do, and they're going to have Ethan Page squash Santino Marella in 2 seconds, which is an outrage because, let's be honest, we want to see Santino in action. So let's not do that, please. But they're going to do it regardless. And ladies and gentlemen, that is interesting. Trick Williams, the TNA World Champion, has a bit of a face-off with Obafemi, the NXT Champion, backstage. That's when JC Jane, holding the NXT and TNA Championship, walks in between the two of them, goes, excuse me, boys, not boys. And they both look at each other like, this is hinting at a unification match. We're going to get Obafemi Trick Williams to unify the titles. And I swear to God, if Trick Williams takes that title from Obafemi, I'm going to kick off. Obafemi better win that. Oh my God, that's a great Easter egg. Again, a couple more backstage segments. Yoshiki goes up to Javon, who's still writing notes, trying to figure out what's next. And Yoshiki's like, I'm a bad friend, for not doing things Josh's way and trying to be honourable. And Javon's like, nah, you're not a bad friend, don't worry about it. And he's like, yeah, but I like Josh, but I don't like the way he thinks. And Javon's like, okay, but you can love people, not like them at the same time, you feel me? And Yoshiki's like, I feel you. And then he asks Javon what he's doing, and Javon's like, he's just trying to figure out what's next. And Yoshiki's like, okay, that's fine. I know what's next for me. It's the NXT title. Not really sure what the point of the whole fucking thing is, but whatever. Yoshiki is going after the NXT title. Lord knows what Javon Evans is doing next. Like I said, this whole time he should have been feuding with Obafemi. What are we doing? Instead, Obafemi's had like filler feuds, and Javon's done nothing really but have a 2-week feud with Jasper Troy. Do you see what I mean? Like, it just makes sense. But then we get more No Quarter Catch Crew and Miles trying to tell Charlie, you always think it's done your way, after Ren's lost. And Charlie's like, Miles, go away. That's when Bubba Ray Dudley walks in. No pop, by the way. Disgraceful crowd. And he goes, no, Miles, stay. And then he goes up to Ren and he goes, great match. And then, goes proper girly and says great match. But then he addresses the issue between Charlie and Tavion. He says, I'm going to speak to Ava. Next week we're going to have a match because it's not going to end controversially. And if Tavion wins, he's free the No Quarter Catch Crew. He's on his own. But if Charlie wins, Tavion obviously stays in No Quarter Catch Crew, but he has to do it with a smile on his face. It's basically the same thing, but Bubba Ray's been injected to kind of play a middleman here. Pretty much, well, not pointless segments really, but decent segments. I don't mind. But we've got 12 minutes left, and we've got a triple threat match to happen in 12 minutes. Come on. And that will conclude NXT. Obafemi successfully defends the title in a great triple threat match. Great triple threat match. The ending sequence was amazing. That powerful lariat Josh Briggs hit on Inamura, and then that massive European uppercut Obafemi hit on Josh Briggs, followed by the fall from Grace, and a great title retention. And then close to the show with Javon still backstage thinking about what to do next, and Undertaker walking up to him saying, still thinking about what to do? I think you still go after the biggest dog in the yard, aka the NXT champion, aka Obafemi. Like I said, Javon Evans should have been doing the whole time. Undertaker's got knowledge, and clearly so do I. I might as well be an OG at this point. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.